We are going to go ahead and get started today. Thank you for coming. I'm Monica Smith, your Kent County Cooperative Extension Educator in Food and Nutrition. I want to remind you that when you're at MSUE, you're always welcome. Everybody is welcome. We don't discriminate against anyone, nor do we hang out with those who do. So you, your clients, friends, family, and anybody else that you can think of is always welcome to participate in our programming. We are here for our community and all that that entails. I found this presentation on the internet and was absolutely blown away by it. We're going to look at 25 days to health and wealth. And this is the first time I have ever seen a pairing between a financial management person and a nutrition person come together and realize, oh my goodness, what happens in our financial health also affects our physical health, and the two are pretty much inseparable. By the time you look at all this, you realize it's pretty hard to be super healthy in one if you're not at least reasonably healthy in the other. So I thought that was pretty fascinating. We are not going to work this today. It's too intense. I just want to introduce you to it, and I hope that you will run from here ready to click on Rutgers' website and explore this more thoroughly. So this program, the beauty of this program is it can be an encompassing thing, or it can be just one thing. So you can do the whole broad picture, or you could focus on just one small area. It's good for us as individuals, for our families, for our young children who are learning how to cope in the world now. But it's also great to use with clients. Does anybody here serve pardon me, low-income clients? Does anybody address financial management in any of their programming? Got a couple. Nutrition in any of their programming? Does anybody deal with teens or youth? I love this for youth because it brings out some really good points that if you miss them in youth, you may be paying a lot of extra money for them in your 20s and 30s, okay? Here's your framework. These are the 25 health and wealth behavior change strategies. That's what's on your handout today. I only gave you one piece of paper for a purpose. Each one of these has lots of pieces that goes with it, and we're going to go through a couple of them so that you can see what the layout of them is and how they work. I find these very, very interesting. Some of the things that we've heard a lot, I mean, haven't most of you heard that tracking your behavior can help you make a change? But because you got to sort of know what you're doing or maybe not doing. But how many of you have heard about unloading your childhood baggage? In therapy. Yes, in therapy we may have heard about that, but we may not often realize as functional adults that maybe some of our childhood baggage is still in the way of us being financially healthy or nutritionally healthy. I mean, you know, if we've been programmed to eat a Twinkie every day at noon since age 5, well, you might pull that off until you're 20, but I can here to tell you at 49 it won't work, okay? So looking at some of these, living the power of 10 is a great one. We're going to go through some of these together. These people could not have been more thorough, all right? Each single strategy has a personalized worksheet. Different kinds of worksheets depending on what the strategy is. This is the only con for this program. Some of these worksheets are pretty intense. But if you've ever helped somebody navigate a food stamp application, they can pull it off. Okay? If you have ever filed a claim, you can pull these off. But I think it would be intimidating to a lot of folks for you just to hand them a worksheet. And at the end, I think we'll have time to go to the website and I'll show you a few of them. But the worksheets bring out really good points, and the worksheets are a thing unto themselves. If you only did a worksheet, you would have done something. That's the beauty of this program. I love this idea. These folks are out of Rutgers, so they're New Jersey. And what they did with this is they did mountains of research, mountain ranges of research. And what they found was the 25 key strategies that are research-based that either get you into or out of a hole. Is the diner approach, meaning, you know, you go into a diner and they've got this menu, it's like 6 pages long, and they've got the little tiny kitchen, and you're thinking, how does that one guy make all of this food? But he pulls it off, right? And they're yelling the orders at him. He's not even, I admire those people. So that's what this is like. 25 strategies is a lot, but they wanted to give a big enough menu to please everybody so that everybody could find something on the menu. That's why. You don't want to choose all 25. 3 or 4 max. 2 might be better. It's better to work 1 or 2 and work them to do every worksheet and do every single thing on that one strategy than to do a little bit of something on 4, 5, or 6. You're not going to be as successful. So this is one time where the dilution factor is not your friend. Okay? Here are a few of the strategies. These are some of my favorites that I wanted to share with you. Track your current behavior. How many people have a problem with that? How many people hate to do it? I promise you, for every one of you that hate it, there's a numbers person out there that loves it. Do not put your own stuff onto your client or your child or your spouse, because some people love numbers. They love something to see. And you could use a pedometer. I'm not very much on tracking calories, but I'm big on tracking servings of food. You know, because if I didn't, I'll be honest with you, I'd never eat any more protein the rest of my life. I'm perfectly happy to eat carb. Carb is life. So I have to pay attention, but I do it in a way where I look down at my plate and say, okay, Monica, where's the protein? Oh, it's missing. Let me get up. So that's how I track it, but I found a method. It's not necessarily writing, but tracking. And tracking expenses. How many people have heard about the evils of debit cards? Yeah, they can be evil. But for me, they were an incredible eye-opening experience. The first month I got my debit card, I viewed to use no cash. Anytime I didn't have to, I was going to put everything on the debit card. Now, I make a living. I do okay. I'm not in poverty. I don't drive an expensive sports car, nor do I have fancy clothes. I'm not doing that well. So imagine my surprise when I got my statement and found in that month I had spent over $100 in coffee.
Wow. Wake up.
Wake up. Holy guacamole. I do that 2 months and I've got a plane ticket somewhere at these prices. So what I saw and the patterns I saw, because it not only tells you what you spend on that, it tells you what time of day you spend it too. I need to stay away from any coffee shop between the hours of 2 and 4 because I'm likely to stop. It's evident. Okay? So that was an automatic track my behavior thing. Wow, was that helpful? You know I had to come on this one, unload your childhood baggage. Faults in your rational beliefs, distorted thinking that affects behavior. Yep. But you know what? Most of us don't know what our childhood baggage is, do we? So maybe sometimes the question to ask yourself is, how long have I been doing this? And if you've been doing it for more than 10 years, maybe you should ask, am I the same person I was then? Because if I'm not, maybe I need a change in behavior. But that doesn't mean that that's necessarily a negative thing. You could turn that into a positive message, right? Wow, I'm really glad to know that I no longer need a Twinkie at noon. Or a cup of coffee at 2. It's quite liberating. Okay? That was an irrational belief that I had to have those things. Put your mind to it. How many people we have in here that feel that they are determined? Does anybody know Barb Terry? Used to work for the health department? Yes. At one point in time, she called me the little bulldog. I wear that badge with honor still today because I am a very determined person once I set my mind to it. But it's not as easy as that. I got to get to the point where I'm setting my mind to it. But once I do, I can do it. But a lot of that has to do with visualization. If you can't see your life as any different, why would you make a change? Why? If you only pay attention to what you mess up, why would you bother to go forward? I love this thing about remind yourself of previous successes. Every day we hear stories about people who can't do fill in the blank, right? I can't stop eating, I can't stop drinking, I can't eat healthier, I can't whatever. But if you sat down and you said, tell me everything in your day yesterday, I guarantee you they did some of the things that they said that they can't do just yesterday. Now maybe they haven't had success doing them every day, but should that blow off the fact that they did it yesterday? I don't think so. The weasel words. I plan to. I'm thinking of. I probably should try. Those are not words of a determined person on their way to making change. These women are so funny. The one woman says, when you're visualizing your health and your wealth, you begin to speak in the terms as if it has already happened. And I thought that was interesting because when I quit smoking, for 6 months prior to the time I quit smoking, I'd light a cigarette, and I said, I don't know why I'm doing this because I don't smoke. I don't even enjoy cigarettes. I'm a non-smoker. This is so weird that I should be doing this. You know, maybe it's your company. Every time I'm around you, I think maybe it's you because I'm a non-smoker. But by speaking in terms of who you want to be and seeing yourself as that person instead of shoulda, woulda, coulda, because, I mean, should is guilt, right? Bad. I thought that was a fantastic idea. Positive change in the present tense. I don't smoke. I'm a non-smoker. I save my money. I refrain from spending outside of my budget. I take a list to the grocery store. I eat fruits and vegetables. Describe negative behavior in the past. Isn't this just the opposite of what we usually do? What is that about? Anything that you've ever done naughty in your whole life, it's here today with us, is it not? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm a horrible test taker. When was the last time I took a test? Why am I still embracing that? What does it have to do with diddly? But did you see how quick I pulled that up? When thinking about negative behavior, positive change in present, negative in the past. These are great points. Commit to making a change, but know where you're at. My guess is most people in here could think of at least one thing they'd like to change about their nutrition and one thing they'd like to change about their finances. Is that fair to say? Because if you were living in nirvana, you wouldn't be here amongst us, would you? Okay. But really, how willing and how ready are you to make that change if you look at it at the end? But looking at it in the beginning. One thing I love about this program is her mantra is doing anything is better than nothing. Absolutely anything is better than nothing. So, for example, this morning I got up, I didn't feel well, I was in wah-wah mode. I did not want to get on the treadmill. I wanted another cup of coffee, wah-wah. because I simply could not face the treadmill for, 30 to 45 minutes. So I compromised. I did have another cup of coffee, and I got on the treadmill for 15 minutes. Because anything is better than nothing. I got all my needs met, right? I got to wah-wah a little longer. I had some more coffee. But I also honored something that's I'm really trying hard to change is having more movement in my life. But I realized that I'm not at the stage of change where I can do everything every day. But I'm at the stage of change where I'm willing to do something every day. Okay? Well, what if I'm not? What if I'm just thinking about putting more money in my 401k or putting some money in the can at the end of the week for emergency car repairs? What if I'm just thinking about that? Is that valuable?
Yeah. Awareness.
You got to get there from here, don't you? Because then you can begin to start describing behavior in positive terms. I save $5 every week. I have the forms in my possession to change my 401k contribution. I bought a bag of apples. Because if you can say it, then perhaps you can begin to do it. But realize wherever you're at. Commitment is during the preparation stage of change, not during contemplation. But you can't get to commitment until you've done some contemplating. You really have to contemplate. And in that contemplation, you have to realize that there's pros, cons, and obstacles to that change. Have a kid I volunteer with. She makes minimum wage. She works about 10 hours a week. She's not real rich. She decided last year that she would take up smoking. That'll hurt the purse. This year she would really like to abandon smoking because it's cutting into her social time. One cannot afford cigarettes and movie passes at the same time. One cannot afford gas, cigarettes, and movie passes on, $50 a week income. So I asked her, well, what's the problem with you stop smoking? What's the problem? And she said, well, who will I hang out with on break? I thought that was a fabulous answer. I said, you're right. Smoking is a positive thing in your life there, right? It gives you a social structure, a place to go at break. You have people to hang out with. She's 16. That's important. So understanding what the obstacle is, she can work around it. I was like, will they really run you off if you go out there and you're not smoking? Is there a sign, only smokers? I said, maybe you could be there and not smoke. You're already in. She had to think about it. She said, well, maybe that's true. I said, I don't know. It's $5 a pack or more, right? A lot of movies, you're smoking away. But she had to think about it. Now, next week, will she have quit smoking? Probably not. But maybe she attempted to go out there and be with those kids and not smoke. I don't know. But she has to look at the obstacles, and she was very honest about her obstacles. Well, if she had said, oh, there's no obstacles for me to quit smoking, I'd been like, well, you're definitely not ready to make a change because you don't know why you bought into it to begin with, right? My personal favorite. Do it for spite. Who was it that said the best revenge is living well? Probably Oscar Wilde. It's true. The person that says you can't, that you shouldn't, that you couldn't, can be really fun to prove them wrong in a healthy way. Betting against something in an appropriate way. Refusing to be that person that's a statistic. The reason I ever quit smoking was because I was riding in the car one day and I was listening to a program on NPR and where they informed me that only uneducated blue-collar workers still smoked, and I got real testy about that until I realized I was indeed an uneducated blue-collar worker still smoking, at which point I quit smoking and went back to college at age 30. Nah.
Wow.
Really, NPR changed my life. But I can't tell you how bad that was on my nerves. I simply could not stand the thought of being lumped into their statistic. That might work for some people, it might not work for others. But use these things to your advantage. Every one of these strategies will work with both your health or your wealth. You'll never save any money. You'll never balance your checkbook. I'll show you. You know, everybody in our family is overweight and we all get diabetes. Resign yourself to it. No, not me. And when those reports come out and you start looking across the sheet and you say, oh, yeah, that's me. You know, my mortgage is underwater. I bought at the height of the boom. But that doesn't mean I have to lose my house. Lots of people are not losing their house. We hear about everybody that's losing their house, but a lot of people aren't losing their house, right? A lot of people are holding it together. What do you think about this? Balance versus sacrifice. I just hate when I hear this. Well, I'm not going to eat any more donuts. Well, how long is that going to last? What is life without donuts? Really? You know, balance might be, I'll eat one donut. I'll eat 2 donuts once a week. For every donut I eat, I'll eat a piece of fruit. I don't know. There's a lot of steps along the way to change there, right? A lot of change on the way to balance. So with your weight, you know, maybe you're just going to move more. Maybe you're not willing to give up anything that you're eating. That's okay. It works. Maybe you're a sloth like me. Maybe you'd really cut back a little bit and not have to be on the treadmill quite so long. That might work. What about this concept, earning more money than you spend? That feels like we don't have power over that, does it? I don't get to decide how much they pay me, but I can decide how much I spend. Am I really going to drop $100 a month at the coffee shop? Come on, I can pay somebody to clean my house for that. You know? Spending is largely untracked, I think, in our society because we have so much around us all the time. We have things to buy. In other cultures, there's nothing to buy, right? Even if you had money, there'd be nothing to buy. And so we have the blessing and the curse of having so much available to us. But a lot of us are feeling out of balance. Does anybody ever look around their house and go, oh my gosh, I gotta dust all this mess. Why did I buy that? What was I thinking? When did tennis shoes get to be $350 a pair? And why am I shopping? When did shopping become entertainment? Have I no friends or personal interests? Why am I at the mall? But it's out of balance, and it's very much doing what we've done before and not tracking it. If you wrote down every time you put yourself in a retail establishment without purpose, you know. And my personal favorite, changing one habit can have a very big impact. Just one. Just one, changing one habit that happens all the time. A habit is regular, right? Now, if you go out and get dessert once a month with a latte, giving that up, is that going to affect your life? Absolutely not. In fact, it may affect your life negatively, especially if that's a social engagement with friends or family. But if I switch from whole milk to 1% milk, and I drink that every day, twice a day, oh my goodness, have I changed my life? I probably changed my life. And I've done it with balance, not sacrifice, right? I'm still having my milk. So understanding what your habits are and where they're coming from and how they really affect you can really make a big difference in what you do with your life. Controlling your destiny. What do you think about that? Do you work with folks that feel like they have no power? Oh, it's hard, isn't it? It's terribly difficult. People that have no expectations of a positive outcome. That life could be any different. And not being able to say, wow, maybe I do get to control some of this, and maybe I have some responsibility in how much I eat, how much I save, and how much trash I make in the world. Mr. Marin's on a personal mission to reduce personal trash. He's visualizing a life without trash. But that comes from a lot of pre-work, right? Contemplation, research, seeing your future without that trash barrel at the end of the street, taking that money that you're saved on trash pickup and putting it into something else that will be maybe more fun, more productive. That's what the worksheets help you do with this program, is get from that pre-contemplation to contemplation to seeing the big picture. Controlling your destiny sometimes might need to be the very first lesson that you work with anybody. That's another thing. The 25 strategies here are not in any particular given order. So it doesn't tell you that strategy number 1 is your gateway to more successful. And I sometimes wonder, that first strategy that you choose, if you choose to embark on improving your health and wealth, if that's not going to be the key to how far you go. And this one, for a lot of people, may be the most important one. Believing that they have efficacy and some control in their life. Without this, I don't know what else is much possible. So, when choosing the strategies to work on or to work with someone else on, you might want to look at how much power the person feels that they have. Making progress every day. Any step. Anything at all. Can I say that again? Anything that you do is better than doing nothing, and gets you one step closer to where you want to go. Doing nothing is very defeating. Doing nothing over and over again becomes crippling, financially and with your health. I love this. Get help and be accountable. There she is. That's a Rita lookalike, my dog, who has saved me from a world of troubles. Although she will eat Cheez-Its with me. She can look at me and say, I could tell you're troubled. Should we have Cheez-Its? And I'll say, Rita, perhaps we should walk. Rita is a sloth in a lab's body. But because Rita counts on me, I do walk. If I'm going to cook for my dog, maybe I should cook for me. Because I do. I'm trying to think of a way to get a walk. I'm notorious for not eating lunch. I'll sit at my desk and work to stay stressed. And I'm thinking very seriously about going over here to the animal shelter and signing up to be a pet walker, a dog walker, because I know that if Ralph is waiting on me, I will get up and go walk. It'll be better for my mental health, better for my physical health, better for my job performance later in the afternoon, right? But I doubt I'll do that if Ralph is not involved, because I know me. But there's lots of places to get support. Friends. Are friends always supportive?
No. If you choose them well.
If you choose them well and you know where their hot buttons are, okay? I have some friends, they're really supportive with health, but I wouldn't want to talk about wealth with them because they like to spend more than I do. You know? So knowing support is more than a body, it's a body that's appropriately aligned with what you're trying to do. Your employer. A lot of employers offer support in the way of wellness, worksite wellness, benefits for insurance if you don't smoke or if you agree to do certain healthy behaviors. And when I say support groups down here, I wouldn't normally like that unless you create your own. Finding a group of folks that you already know that can be in support of you. Like, do we really have to meet at the coffee shop to talk? Look, I'm speaking without coffee. Perhaps my group of friends and I that I share time with don't need to be in an establishment where caffeine or food is involved. So now I've created a different sort of support for myself. I've separated out caffeine, food, and being social. I like the meet yourself halfway idea, just like I did this morning. And I did that because I read this. I didn't do 30 or 45, but I did 15. You know, I had most of a cup of coffee and 15 minutes, all right? Eat less. Reduce discretionary spending by 1/3 to 1/2. I love that idea. So in other words, I go to the coffee shop, I can get the $3.79 latte, or I can get the $1.29 straight up coffee, right? That was balance, not sacrifice. We're back to that thing again, right? And I still got to go to the coffee shop. I still met with friends, whatever. But I don't have to do everything I was doing before. Even just spending less. Never pay full price. The words of my mother. And always look for less expensive options. Do I need to go to the movies at 8 o'clock? Is the movie any different at 5:15? I don't think they have the full price version and the matinee version yet. They may do that. But right now, I can still see the same movie at 5:15 for $3 less, right? Less expensive options. Supersizing. I've been doing grocery store tours this week. Do you know how hard it is to convince people that buy one, get one free is not a deal when the one that you're buying has no nutritional value? It's not a deal if when you eat it, it doesn't help you and perhaps it even harms you. Buy one, get 3 free. How many do I really need? I've lived in 1,000 square feet or less my entire life, and the 24-pack roll of toilet tissue is not attractive to me because I have to sit on it. It is not of value if I have nowhere to store it. Is saving 50 cents on 24 rolls worth the irritation I'm going to feel when I fall over it, step on it, the cat sleeps on it? No, it's probably not. So understanding that I'm not saving it if I don't need 24 rolls. That's a hard concept, but it's 50 cents. But next week, and the next week, and the next week, they'll have 10 cents off every 4-pack. Eventually, I'm still saving the 50 cents, right? Right. Just over time? Yeah, over time. And I love this. Trade up to a costlier item. Bait and switch. Anybody got cell phone plan? Oh, they're the kings and queens, right? Cable company, anything having to do with entertainment or communications. I had to call a communications provider, who shall remain nameless, to make a change last week. And they asked me who my cell phone provider was with, and I told them, and they asked me how much I was paying, and I told them, and they asked me how many minutes I was getting, and I told them, and she said, well, let me see what I can do for you. And you hear, click, 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 type, 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 type. And she comes back and she tells me that she can give me the exact same plan I've got, only with 200 minutes more a month, which I never use all my minutes. I don't need more minutes. Minutes are not an issue for me. For $1.50 more a month. Why do I want to spend more money a month for the exact same thing I have now when I don't already use up all my minutes? But it would have been very easy for me to say 200 more minutes for only $1.50, right? But I don't need 200 more minutes. So I'll save my $1.50 because I can go to the coffee shop. Yes. It's all about choices, balance. I don't really need that. I don't really need it. It's not a value if I don't need it. So supersizing is not just in food where you go up and they actually say those words, supersize it. They supersize everything, right? We need more minutes. We need more car. We need more stuff. More. If you don't have a growing family, if you don't really have the need for more, maybe you don't need to buy more. Convert consumption into labor. This gets me. How many hours do I have to work to pay for that? If I had to trade direct labor, would I? And if my answer to that is no, I will not purchase whatever it is. If I will not go and toil for you to barter that out, the number of hours needed to do that service, I simply won't do it. Is it really worth the time worked? You know, we get that money in our hands, and it becomes money, doesn't it? What happened to all the hours it took to get that money? That money represents X number of hours of work, right? Plus, what about the preparation for work? Driving to and from work. Getting your clothes ready for work, packing your lunch, running your kids to daycare, running your kids to school. What about all the things that go into that? Then that becomes that money, and how much money did that money start out to be to get down to that? You know, if you make $10 an hour, you work more than an hour to get $10 in your hand, right? So it's not a direct 10 for 10 trade. And helping people understand this, the value of their time, that's an important thing. Compare yourself with benchmarks, whatever those are. I'm not too fond of the body mass index. Others will argue with me. I much prefer to look at eating behaviors. 5 to 9 fruits and vegetables a day. USDA tells me that's my ticket to good health. Did I eat 5? Did I eat more than 5? Did I eat 2? How did I do? My lab work. Am I really as healthy as what I think? A lot of things don't have any symptoms, do they? I like this. Age times gross income divided by 10. That can get kind of scary. If you wanted to be prepared for retirement, how many of you have accepted that you will never retire? Retirement's becoming an illusion in our society, is it not? Have to work somehow, either to maintain the status quo, if that's what your goal is, to maintain health insurance, if that's what your goal is, to stay viable mentally. But a lot of times this isn't very much of a motivator, retirement, because most of us believe retirement is out of our reach at this point. I believe we're the first generation to believe that. And you think some of that might have to do with our spending habits and our health? A point she made in this is you have to think about how these two things work together. If I take care of my health, I eat well, I move more, I will live longer. What might that mean? I need more money to live longer, right? If I live to be, I have a friend in North Carolina, she is 83. She is extremely active, she tutors, she gardens, she drives, She is, by most people's standards, 60. You'd never know. You look at her, you would never know. She can even be fairly stylish when she's in the mood for it. All her friends are younger than she is. That's her motto. That's something that she does. She doesn't have old friends. She doesn't want to get sucked into oldness. But she did not plan to live so well for so long, and she's really struggling financially. Her siblings are not living as long as she's living. She's the eldest in her family and has outlived 3 of her siblings already. So when you plan to have good health, you might want to plan to have some expanded wealth, right? Using easy frames of reference, I like this when you're trying to measure something and know what you're doing. Getting too fancy calories, grams, this, that, the other becomes overwhelming. Don't you think, for most people? I could say 5 servings of fruit and vegetables a day, but I really don't want to know how many grams of carb that equates to, and I'm a dietitian. And I don't really want to know that. I got, too much stuff in my head. And this, with finances, having a solid something to work toward. This program says over and over again, it needs to be solid, something that you can see and measure and relate to on your own terms. The idea of $1 million retirement means nothing to me. But if somebody said, this is what you have to do to have $1,000 a month to live on, I can grasp that. Break it down to something I can work with. I can work with that. Automate good habits. Oh, absolutely. Does anybody have their car payment, their car insurance taken out of their checking account? Don't need to worry about it, right? It's done. Never pay a late fee. Does anybody use what is it called? Automated payment at the bank where they send your checks off? Never pay another late fee, right? As long as you don't bounce the checks at the right. As long as you got the money in there. Routine health screenings. Your birthday, your anniversary, your child's birthday. The spring equinox. Easter. It's a time to birth and be renewed. Just make it happen automatically. The more you automate, the less you worry about, the more it happens. We're creatures of habit. We are. What comes out of my paycheck that goes into my retirement account is money I've never seen, therefore I do not grieve its loss. Because once I get it in my hand, oh my, I become so attached to it. Then that $20 or $30 turns into shoes or a shirt that I'm not going to get to have. I didn't even know I needed a shirt. I didn't need the shirt until I had the money in my hand. So the more that you can do with automation, the better. That's another reason why I like this program is it does it for you. Just do the worksheets. The power of 10. I love this one. 10. We can all work in 10, right? Most of us learn to multiply by 10 by the time we can say the alphabet. 10 and 2, right? If 10 is too much, use the power of 2. I'll do exercise in 10-minute increments. I love that. $1 a day, $10 a week, $10 a month in savings. 10% more movement. Lose 10% of your body weight. That makes a health change, right? You don't need to lose 100 pounds, 50 pounds, 75 pounds. 10% of your body weight will take you a very, very long way in improving your health. Now, the 10,000 steps a day, if you're not Amish, you might have a challenge in that, but it's a lofty goal to work with. But I'd break that down a little bit and say, I'll walk 1,000 more steps a day than what I used to walk. I'd get a baseline and aim for 1,000 more than what I was used to. Because that's lofty. The average Amish man walks 18,000 steps a day. The average not Amish man walks about 6,000 steps a day. Calculated risks. Everything's a risk, right? If I save this money, if I put it in my 401k, I don't have it available to me, do I? If my car breaks down and I want to pay cash for those repairs, I can't run and get that money, can I? Without paying a huge, more than it would cost me to probably charge it. You have to calculate your risk, know what you're doing. But that means you have to be able to make mistakes, right? It's okay to make mistakes. You got to learn from them. And I love this. This false evidences appearing as real, our fears. The fact of the matter is, most of us will not miss $5 a week. We fear that we'll need it if we put it somewhere else. But most of us will not miss it. We're just afraid that we won't have it when we need it. But in reality, by putting that in some type of savings thing, when we really need it, we'll have a lot more than $5, won't we? Time and compound interest, they are our friends. I'm speaking like Dave Truell. I'm channeling Dave Truell. Appreciate teachable moments. A lot of us have to hit the bottom before we get up and make something different happen, right? Pay now or pay later. Yeah. I can't tell you, when I was in college, when I was counseling for a local university here, how many students I saw mess their credit history up with cell phone plans. By electing to not pay it on time, every other credit thing that they signed up for later had a higher interest rate because they became an at-risk person, right? Pay now, pay later. Pay later. That's how it is. Know that when you've been forced to make a change, that's not failure, that's the beginning of a new beginning. It's okay. Costs and benefits of changing, just like my client said. Am I willing to give up smoking if it means I have to give up my friends? Well, maybe you need to look at that fear and say, maybe I don't need to do both. People take action when the pros outweigh the cons. Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes people take action when it's just the lesser of two evils. There isn't a pro and there isn't a con. There's a con and a worse con. But that's okay. And sometimes people make change because it can help. Many people, many parents have made changes in order to help their children, right? They couldn't do it for themselves, but they got up and ate breakfast because they wanted their kids to get up and eat breakfast, right? They bought a bicycle and went riding because they wanted to be with their children. Really, they'd rather be watching the game. So sometimes it's more motivating to do it for somebody else. Stepping down to change. This is a really good one. Another one that don't cut something out completely. If you're eating out at a restaurant 4 times a week, do you think that you're going to go to home-prepared meals every night? Be real. You're setting yourself up for disaster to have that kind of goal, right? But maybe you could buy the rotisserie chicken and have that at home. You can work toward that. So any step in the right direction is helpful. Speed it up. Kick it up. Anything you do more than what you're doing now is worth your time. Control your environment. I can assure you at this moment in time, there are no cookies in my house because I can control that environment. If I'm going to eat a cookie, I'm going to eat a good cookie. I'm going to go to the bakery and I'm going to get a delicious cookie. And I'm going to fully enjoy it. And I'm going to be able to know and understand every ingredient that is in it. I control my environment. I moved to a neighborhood where I can walk. I controlled my environment. Set yourself up to succeed. There's no need to live in the face of every temptation every day. Again, when I don't have cash, it cannot vaporize. If I have to put the ATM card in the swiper, the statement does come and the story is told. Set myself up for success. Anticipate difficult situations. I realize if I keep swiping, I better know what my balance is, right? I've messed that up a few times. I'm better at it now. But there's no reason why not to control your environment. You don't have to free float. Have the food in the house. How can you cook a meal if there's nothing there to eat? Another one of my personal favorites, rewards. I think everybody's underpraised and underrewarded, especially adults and most kids. And I have no trouble at all coming up to you. I don't even know you. And I'll come up and say, you know what? You're not going to believe this. I ate 6 vegetables yesterday. Cough it up. I want some praise. Okay? I have no trouble in asking for praise. Most adults, I was the youngest, can you tell? Most adults don't do that very well. But rewarding yourself by setting yourself up, by asking for praise, by saying when this happens, then this also will happen. If you quit smoking, that however much you were spending per week in cigarettes, $50 a week in cigarettes, well, maybe that $50 should be reinvested back into you in something that's really yours. A massage, a class, music. It already wasn't in the budget, was it? It wasn't paying bills before. Maybe it needs to be personal enrichment in a different way. I don't know. But we know, we're not researching this anymore. All change happens through praise and reward. Punishment does not change behavior. Doesn't work. You truly cannot punish or shame someone into being a different human being. But you can reward them and praise them into being one. So know what your obstacles are, plan for them, laugh about them, and move on. Don't let them become your enemies, let them become your friends. Oh my gosh, never do that again. I don't think so. Yeah, I bought all fresh produce. What a great idea. I had a mold colony in 4 days. And you know, whoo, that was fun. And expensive too, you know. Maybe frozen really is an all-right alternative. So realizing that I'm not going to cook every single time I think I'm going to cook. There are days when peanut butter is my friend. But the asparagus won't wait. Set a date and just do it. And that date needs to be today, or it needs to be a significant date. In my career as a health coach, I've had many careers, I found that people were most often successful when they started a date or they anticipated an end date as something that meant something really meaningful to them. Like, again, their anniversary, their child's birth date, the passing of a loved one, something that meant something to them. Or today. Those are your best choices. And many of us are people of our words. Create that commitment contract and stick to it. I see myself, I am an active person. I exercise every day, and I do it because I can and I will. Every morning I'm on that treadmill, and my mantra is I can and I will, because I always want to be able to. You know, I want to be my friend from North Carolina whose biggest worry is who's going to drive to the bowling alley. Okay? Even Health and Human Services, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services actually admitted we don't need to be extreme people. We just need to do something. Do a little something to make improvements in being active, eating healthier, one small step. There's a whole campaign, Save for Your Future. It's got more than you could ever want to know about how you could turn a little bit of money into a whole lot of money. Small remedies, they're worth your time. Something as easy as $1 a day to the minimum payment on a credit card. If you can't do $1 a day, do $10 a month onto the minimum. Anything that you can do. I've given you lots of personal examples. I hope I put this thing in here. Oh, I didn't put it in here. I wish I had. I hope that you will take the time to go to Rutgers' website, look at some of these, look at the worksheets, and contemplate them to make a change. I want to see if I can show you one thing before you go. I found this to be so very interesting. This is their website. As you can see here, they have a monthly message for nutrition and for health. They have a place. There's all kinds of challenges online. You can register online if you want to track yourself. Here's all the fact sheets. The in-depth explanation for each of the challenges here.
And they can be downloaded.
They can all be downloaded and used. They're great. Let me see if this one will open. I just thought this was fascinating. Eating out one less evening each week, investing that money, in 20 years you'll have $50,000. Wow. Well, as I'm looking around in here,
We could all use that.
I think we've all got another 20 years.
Yes.
$50,000 eating out. Could I eat PB&J tonight for $50,000 later? Maybe I could. Maybe I could. I can grasp that. Is your lunch eating your lunch? $40,000 in 20 years if you just used what was in the refrigerator instead of going out to eat at lunch. I love this visual. That's what that lunch is costing you. There's your tab. Can anybody say, ouch? Ouch. Let's break it down to even not a meal. Just staying out of the vending machine, in 20 years, you could have $18,000. I'm sure a lot of you have clients or friends with small children who in 20 years may be needing money for education, money for vocational training, money for a house. If I just don't stop at that vending machine and I invest that money, wow. That's powerful, isn't it? It brings it home. It's very real. And you'll find that most of the materials that they have are very much like this. And they even include the research here behind it in case the people that you're working with, if you're working with folks and you want to use this, if your company or your agency says, what's the research behind this? They document it all for you. Barbara O'Neill is like the super guru of financial management. There's not much that she doesn't know about how to make your money work for you. So if you're trying to be healthier or wealthier, I hope that you could take a step or two, experience it, and if it works for you, share it with somebody that you know and care about, or perhaps somebody that could really benefit from it. I'm telling you, I look at chips in a whole different way now. I mean, I look at that chip and I think, $18,000? I should still be cruise worthy at that age. I should still be able to cruise. So I hope that this is something that you can use. And what will be on the website when I do the website for this month, there'll just be links. I'm not going to load a bunch of things for you to download because it's all going to be here for you. Okay? Thanks a lot for coming, and just do anything, right? Yay. You're welcome.